Hello, good morning, everybody. I will update you a little bit about the ongoing process in the Netherlands and mainly the Task Force Wildfire Management, which has started this year. Yeah, let's start with this sheet. I just added it after the presentation of John. A motivation to start the task force from the perspective of the Netherlands Fire Service. It's all in the conclusions of the presentation of John. It will get worse. The wildfire risk will get worse in the Netherlands too. Last Monday or the week before the Monday, our National Meteorological Institute published the climate scenarios, the new climate scenarios. They did that in 2014 and they did it this year. And all of these scenarios are saying that our spring and our summer will be drier than in the past. So it can get worse or it can get very much worse. So that's the choice we have. But the thing that's sure is that our problem will be bigger regarding wildfires in mainly the spring and in the summer. So that's the main motivation to start this task force. And what is the task force? It is we have a council of fire chiefs in the Netherlands. We have 25 fire chiefs, and there's a council. And they said last year we need to develop a strategy, and I heard something about it in the wishes, let's say, in the wishes of Rob a few minutes ago. We need to develop a strategy for the longer term, how to deal with wildfires in the Netherlands. And we do this from the perspective of the Netherlands Fire Service and the 25 safety regions we have in the Netherlands. So we do it from a safety perspective, and we don't do it from a more nature perspective. And that's interesting because you can also develop a strategy or a framework from the nature perspective, how to deal with wildfires from like Colm is doing in the DEFRA. That's another way of starting a framework or a vision. But to say it like this, I think the things we are saying in our framework, in our Netherlands framework, are kind of familiar to what Colm has presented already in this Wildfire Roundtable regarding the strategic way forward, regarding the framework in Northern Ireland. So I think a lot of the things I am going to say today are familiar with what Colm already has said. And I'm glad to say that Colm is presenting something about his or the Northern Ireland framework on wildfire management in our symposium in November in the Netherlands, which we will go further in about our vision, our framework on wildfire management. So the main task was to develop a strategic way forward, a framework, and to make sure that there is structural political interest in wildfire management. And that was what Robert Stacey was saying. We need our government to step into this theme and to take action from the upper level, to take action top down and not only bottom up like we did in the past few years as a fire service. And one of the main objectives in our way forward is work towards integrated fire management with prevention as the most important theme. Not only suppression, and I don't think I have to go much deeper into this discussion because everybody in this group will know that the thing to do with prevention is much more important in the phases we are right now than buying extra planes or extra vehicles, because fires will get so big that even if we buy extra planes, we won't extinguish them anymore. And we need to develop a plan for the implementation of the goals that are in our framework. And we are working on this right now, and it will cost a lot of money. So we have to go to our fire chiefs and to our governments and say, okay, if we all agree that we need to take some step forward, then it will cost some money, and we need to do that. So a little bit about the process. In February this year, we started with a brainstorm, and you see on the pictures, you see some familiar faces. Brian is somewhere there in the corner, and Inge is somewhere in this picture. We started with a lot of colleagues from over the country, and those colleagues are mainly from the fire service. Like I said, we do it from a fire service perspective, and I will come back to you about working together with all the other partners involved in this theme. But we have developed this vision mainly from let's say the firefighters' perspective. And we developed 3 project teams based on the themes risk management, smart suppression, and research, which I will talk about later. We have a steering committee with some of our national fire chiefs and people from the ministry, and some of the representatives from the councils of the Netherlands Fire Service. So I won't go any much further into that. If anybody has a question, I can't see the hands, but if you have a question, please raise your hands or shout something to me, and then I'm more than happy to answer the questions. So a little bit more about the process. You see here the picture of the new front page of our Wildfire vision. In March, we started with input from the project teams. In April, we had a document with a basis for the strategic way forward. So we put all those information out of the project teams together, and we had some basis document about our way to look into the future. And then we had a feedback round with people from all over the country and our partners. So not only the fire services, but also ministries, nature management organizations, provinces, and some other organizations that are involved in this theme. So we included those feedback that we got in the document, and we had the first draft of the new vision. Then we had the second round of feedback, and all those feedback we included into a new document again. And there is now a final version of this new vision who will be discussed in our National Fire Chiefs meeting in November. And hopefully everybody will say, oh, it's a great way to do it like this. And then in December, we ask them for a lot of money. So if they if they say in November it's a good way to do this, then in December we will say, okay, but it will cost some money, and you have to make sure that we get the money. So what's in the vision as content? So I translated all the images into English. So maybe it's a little bit different than the Dutch title, but I will try to explain it. So our main subject is integrated fire management. We need to work with all the partners together, and in the whole, I don't know if safety chain is a real English word, but to do something with proaction, prevention, preparation, suppression, and after the fire. So the restoration, I think it's called in English. So we need to work towards the whole subject of wildfire management. And we need our partners in this, but I will refer to that later. The other one is management and collaboration. So we need political action to do something with this team. It's not, we can't do this only from our fire service. We need our government to step into this team and to take responsibility, which is also the next point. Every organization involved in wildfire management in the Netherlands needs to take their own responsibility. And that's quite challenging because we as a fire service, and we have started this vision, but we don't have any mandate to say to other organizations, you need to do this or you need to do that. No, it's all based on discussing with each other and try to find each other along the way, and to make sure whose responsibility is in this team. So we can't say to nature managers, you need to cut these pine forest and to replace it with broadleaf trees. We can't say that. But we hope that we can push them towards thinking about their own responsibility in this theme and how they can collaborate in wildfire management in the Netherlands. The next thing is prepared communities and communication. So we see that our communities are not prepared in wildfire management, in wildfires in general. So if there's a wildfire, people in the Netherlands don't know what to do. So it starts just by not lighting any fires if it's dry. That's the most basic part. But concepts like firewise or how you have to evacuate or what you have to do to be sure that the fire doesn't spread to your house, or where you have to flee if there's an actual fire starting. We don't have any of those things in place in the Netherlands right now. So we need to prepare our communities for fires that will spread into the built area, into the urban area. and that's one of the targets we have to do. And we need to improve communication. So what now, like I said, what do people need to do, but also to make sure that people are aware of the wildfire risk. And one of the things we are doing since this year, and Brian is one of the main persons who is doing that in a very, very great way, is we have a real-time risk assessment by now. So every week we have a meeting with some of the key players in wildfire management, and we discuss the next week's wildfire risk. So based on the vegetation, how dry is it, but also the weather circumstances, if there are any festivals or something like that in the nature areas, then we make a real-time risk assessment, and we are aware of wildfire risk in an early stage, so we can spread this information to other partners and say, okay, let's make sure next week will be a week with high wildfire risk, so be prepared if a fire starts. So that's one of the things we want to do. And of course, we want to improve our national and international network, and our national knowledge network and international knowledge network too. And one of the things is, of course, this Wildfire Roundtable, but we think we can do much more collaborating with the partners in the Netherlands, with research institutes in the Netherlands, like the Wageningen University or a National Meteorological Service. We can do much more collaboration in research. And we want to do this also in a more international way. We have this Wildfire Roundtable. We have good contacts with, for example, the Catalan Fire Services, who do have a lot of experience in wildfire management, and we want to improve this also in the EU projects that are available. So Brian can say a little bit more about that, but we are now in the EWET, extreme weather, extreme wildfire events database, I suppose, project to get more information about extreme wildfires. And what we want to do is the availability of operational information for all of the people, at least for the firefighters involved in wildfires. And maybe that sounds a little crazy, but in the Netherlands, not every firefighter has the same operational information. This information is based on the safety regions. Like I said, we have 25 safety regions. So if one region has to assist in another region where there's a large wildfire, that there's a good possibility that they don't have the operational information. They don't see any plans. They don't see the vehicles of the other region, and that's a major problem in fighting wildfires at this stage. So we need to make sure that everybody has the same operational information. Regarding risk management, we need to find a structural and uniform way of working. And one of the main things there is that a ministry, and we think it's our Ministry of Agriculture, Nature and Food Quality, has to take responsibility and make sure that there's a framework on a national level to work on in a structural and uniform way. And we as fire service say we would like to do that risk-oriented and area-specific. And that means we don't want everything to be in the law. We do want some legislation, but just only to make sure that we can fall back on some legislation if we get into discussions with other organizations. But we do want a risk-oriented approach. So look at the area and see where the risks are, and try to make specific area-specific measures in the area to reduce the wildfire risk. So you don't have to cut trees in every area. Maybe you can do other things. You can make sure that there is more water for the fire service, or you can make sure that the campsite is takes some measures to prevent the fire from spreading from the forest to the campsite. So we need to do this area specific and not on a general level. And this will take a lot of discussion, a lot of collaboration between all those partners involved in this theme. And we need to make, and that's not we as a fire service, but the society has to make choices about the risks that are still there, even though we take some measures in the nature area. So we said it have to be administrative choices. So the municipalities and the provinces have to make choices of the risks we are accepting in our forest. And that can mean that we say, it's okay if this area of 500 hectares burns down, but we as a fire service are saying we don't have resources to extinguish a fire that is 500 hectares. So this is a risk, and if we make the choice that this risk is acceptable, it's okay. But don't expect us as fire service to extinguish the fire. No, then the area of 500 hectares will burn. So this is mainly that we as fire service can talk about our limits in suppressing the fires and make sure that our government, our municipalities, our provinces are making those choices that we don't want to make. Still no questions? I don't see any hands, but I only see Ricardo and his cat, so I don't see any questions. We need to improve our professional competences, our training for firefighters, and that's another thing that may sound crazy to you as as fire services from other countries, but we don't have basic wildfire training in our trainings for new firefighters, for example. So we learn them a lot about fighting fires in buildings, or work with hazmat situations, or work with technical rescue, but we don't tell them anything about wildfire management. We just say it's a fire outside and you put water in it and then probably it will go out. And that we found out in the past few years that that's not the way to train our new people. It's a safety hazard too. In every large wildfire in the Netherlands in the past few years, we've seen firefighters who have to flee, who have to leave materials behind, vehicles with burnt parts on it. So we see that we need to improve safety of firefighters, and we can only do that by training them in the suppression of wildfires. And we need a doctrine for that. So we need a way of working that is that's kind of the same in the whole country. And also, there are area-specific ways of fighting fires that we can't uniform. So we can't make uniform. So, but we need also a doctrine to say, in basis, we fight wildfires on a certain way, and we need a certain way of capacity, a certain way of training to make sure that every firefighter in the Netherlands will do the same thing if they have to assist in another region. The regions need to have specific vehicles and materials to fight wildfires, and this vehicles are based on a very fast intervention. That's the strength of the Netherlands Fire Service. We are almost everywhere within 10 minutes, so we need to be there fast. We need to have a lot of water. We need to have a lot of materials to make sure that the fires can be extinguished very fast. Because if the fires are growing bigger, then our problem will be much larger than with all the small wildfires. So we don't have any tactics in place right now to fight larger wildfires. Our only tactic is put water on the fire, and we do have some hand crews who can do something with tactical fire or something like that, but we don't use this a lot in the Netherlands. So we need to improve our extended attack tactics also. And we need to do something with super-regional and national capacities. So it's the question right now, do we have enough capacities in the Netherlands to fight these large wildfires? And as we all know, if there is one wildfire, there are probably more wildfires because it's dry in almost the whole country. And a similarity of wildfires is very likely. So we need to make sure that we can assist each other and we have enough capacities to help each other. And that's not, we don't have any plans for this right now in the Netherlands. So that's something we have to develop. And of course, research. So we have to improve our research, fundamental and applied. So that's why I said we have to work together with the Wageningen University and the Free University in Amsterdam, for example, to do more fundamental research. And we need to do applied research, for example, regarding climate change. What is the effect on vegetation? What is the effect on fire line intensity? How do we fight fires? And is this still the most effective way? So we need to improve research. We need to share our knowledge with other countries, like we are doing here in this Wildfire Roundtable. But we also need to take in account the knowledge that is developed in other countries, and we work a lot together with the UK, for example. We've learned a lot from their document on the wildfire tactical advisors, so we can use a lot of information that is already developed in other countries and translate this to the Dutch situation. And we need to learn from incidents that are happening in the Netherlands, and that's a little bit combined with data. So we have to gather more data about these wildfires, and we have to actually learn from incidents. For example, we do research by kind of 1% of all the wildfires in the Netherlands right now, and we need to improve this this percentage, and hopefully we can get this to 60 or 70% of the wildfires, because also the small fires are very interesting to learn about. Why do these fires stay small? Is that due to the vegetation? And if you do this research for a longer time, maybe you see a shift in fires in certain vegetation that always stayed small and will grow bigger due to climate change or due to vegetation change. So we need to learn from actual incidents, and we need to gather much more data than we are doing right now. And of course, we need to analyze this data. Okay, I tried to click. Yeah, and some other activities we did in the task force. That's more the more fun part. So we had some working visits with our Minister of Nature and Nitrogen. So our Minister of Nature and Nitrogen, it's kind of a crazy combination, but nitrogen, as you may have seen, is a very big issue in the Netherlands right now with tractors blocking the highways, etc. So for a long time, our minister was mostly busy with the farmers and the tractors and the nitrogen policy, and finally we said to her, there's another team where you can actually make the difference, and that's wildfire management. So she said, yeah, I see there's a really big problem, and I see that we can approach this from the more prevention perspective, and that's why our Minister of Nature and Nitrogen was on the working visits with us, because she said we need to make we need to make plans together with nature owners, together with all the other partners involved, to do something with landscape management, to make sure that fires can't grow that big that the fire services can extinguish them anymore. So she went with us to the Catalan Fire Service and the Pau Costa Foundation, and the great colleagues in Catalonia. They showed us some examples of real fires and where landscape management helped to keep the fire small, and they told us a lot about the way they are preparing for wildfire suppression and management. And yeah, it helped us all to give a very good image to the minister on how we can tackle this problem in the future. And like the Catalan Fire Service said, they are working on this team for 25-30 years by now, and it took a lot of time for them to come to the point where they are right now. But they are saying, if you look 30 years ahead in the Netherlands, probably we have kind of the same situation as they are facing in Catalonia right now. So if we are now starting with improving wildfire management, and if we are now starting with learning from other organizations who are already facing this problem, then maybe we can be prepared on the situation in 2050. And we had a discussion in our National Safety Council with the Minister of Nature and Nitrogen and the Minister of Justice and Safety. And there's agreed that there will be administrative agreements between the ministries and other involved parties, organizations, about wildfire management, so that we have, maybe it will work towards legislation, but that's not the main case right now. But at least we will have agreements, covenants. Is that a good English word? Is it a good English word? With the other involved organizations, and we will have a center of expertise. And I think that's very interesting, because if the ministers are saying we need to have a center of expertise, then probably it will be there, and probably we'll get funding from the ministers. But this center of expertise will help us in a very, very, very good way to do more research, to learn from incidents, to have a risk assessment every day if we need to. So this center of expertise will help us a lot, and hopefully we will start with this center of expertise, or with the process to start this center of expertise in the next year. Yeah, and then the collaboration with partners. I saw a question in the chat about the last presentation. How are other partners involved in our strategic way forward, in our wildfire framework? And that's difficult because we don't have any mandate, like I told you already. And we have said we want to develop this strategy from the perspective of safety, and this perspective can be different than the perspective of a nature manager who will have Natura 2000 legislation, etc., who will have other goals. And sometimes it is a challenge due to these different interests to find each other in this theme. And we've seen that in Catalonia too. They are working for 25 years on this theme, and still there are some issues on how to get everybody involved in this theme, and how to make sure you find the best solutions for every involved organization. So we developed this strategy, this vision, and we say to all our partners involved, please do something like this for your own organization, for your own on your own perspective. So make a strategic way forward as nature managers to get your point of view on wildfire management. And we hope that we can activate all those other partners to think about their role in this theme, and at least we need to keep in good contact with them and try to find where we can find each other, and where we have common things that will help all of the organizations, and not be against each other. So this was the presentation about what we are doing.